Excuse me whilst I just found my tits. And it hot. Who shook some ass over Banky H then? Did ya? I did. Speaking of tits, I'm gonna flash her in a minute. Let's put my biggest fan down. Let me just start with this. No one gives two shits about your dreams. As much as you do anyway. It's your responsibility in this one little life that we get to give a shit about what lights you up. Otherwise, what is the actual point? This is for anyone that needs a little boot of self-belief. I want to talk about something that is a bit weird to explain actually, in the hopes that it finds the right people. And actually, I have a habit of doing that. According to my DMs. So we're just gonna roll with it. Have you ever lived a double life? And not in that sense of the word, but what I mean is, maybe you're stuck in a job that you don't like, with no time for what makes you feel alive. That thing that you've always wanted to do, whether it's become self-employed, start that business, or a new hobby, something creative, something a bit rogue that maybe no one else knows about you, but you don't because you go to work, you come back, you're exhausted. So you live it out in your mind, and that becomes enough. You know, you come up with all these other reasons to validate it as well. I know for me, at the start of doing content creation, it was, I don't have an aesthetic gaff. I don't have the right lighting. I don't have the right camera. And sometimes it's even, I don't have enough money to start. Maybe you're worried about people talking about you, not even strangers, but people that you know. All of these things add up in your head and they just become reasons that you never start. And then one day you're 30 and you're starting a YouTube channel. If you really let yourself go there and walked yourself into that dream, into that vision of whatever it is, you would be doing that thing, wouldn't you? And that bit is self-belief. No matter how small that is, no matter how far down in your brain that is self-belief. It is there, everyone has it, and it's your responsibility to do something about it. I've been figuring this out over the last few years, and no one can or will believe in you as much as you can believe in you. No one else is going to see it through for you. Have you ever been so excited to go to work for someone else in your corporate office job? And it might be a good one. You might actually enjoy some parts of it. It doesn't even have to be about work. It could be like what we spoke about last week, just not dedicating a bit of time for you to do something that is for you. Because if you're not doing that, and you're not excited about going to your corporate office job, trying to care about something that you just don't, it's just so obvious, especially for us with ADHD as well. You can see it on our face. Let me just bring it back and get into the dirty deeds for a sec. I feel like I'm living a double life at the moment, and the only thing that is carrying me is self-belief and vibes. The recipe for success has to be. There is no alternative. I went freelance doing content creation before it's sustainable for me, and I was forced to make that move. You already know the law. I tried moving countries, burnt out so bad, got ill, physically couldn't work, and whilst I had the scariest health scare of my life, I said, fuck that. I'm never going back to a corporate office job again. I didn't know at the time that I would need self-belief, and I had absolutely none of it. I didn't even know what I was believing in. And I was blocked in every sense of the word as well. Physically, with my health, brain, body, equipment, financially. When people say they start from the ground up or the bottom up, or they're like rebuilding their life, I genuinely mean from the pits of hell, like nothing. Tumbleweeds, graveyard, you know what I mean? And I could have easily packed it all in a year ago. Even still now, I could just pack it up, remove all my platforms, ransack LinkedIn, and get another office job. And being in survival mode for this long, I've been in survival mode for about 3 years now, and anyone will know this as well if you're in it. Every part of you will be screaming out for some kind of certainty, security, some form of stability. But instead, I work against that every single day because I've committed to that leap of faith. And all right, 3 years later, I'm still in midair. I ain't landed yet, but we're still in the air. I have to land. You know, most people, when they say they take a leap of faith, they have a backup of savings, family, help. living with parents. Just something that could break the fall. But me, oh no, nothing of the sort. Just an impulsive ADHD brain that refuses to take no for an answer. And this is where the art of blind belief comes in. Because changing your life, starting that something new, starting a business, whatever it is most likely not going to give you visual, physical evidence or results to keep you going. Any job, you sort of work your way up. With a lot of things, there is no visual payoff. Especially if you're starting a new hobby, you're probably going to be shit for ages. And that is especially hard for ADHD brains. We look for dopamine and novelty. It's so easy for us to just sack everything off. But to have blind belief, you have to believe when there is little to no evidence. It's believing even when no one else understands why you're doing this and when they're questioning you about it. It's believing when people were worried about you or giving you solutions or advice. And it's believing even when you feel worried, because both things can be true at the same time. You can have blind belief but also still feel worried, because you will feel it, and I feel it most weeks. But in those moments, I just allow it to happen. But I know that that's just a moment. I'm not always going to feel like that. I'm actually going to come out of it. And what's going to happen at the end of it? There's no alternative. So what do? I carry on. I get up, show up, and carry on. And you know what happens when you do that? You actually give yourself evidence that you're capable of showing up for yourself even when you feel like that. That is so powerful. Because most people give up, by the way, when you're late diagnosed. You would have experienced having poor self-esteem and struggling with self-confidence at the hands of people in your life, like teachers, parents, managers, colleagues, friendships, because we were always wrong. That made us feel like it was us, like the problem was us. It must be our personality. We're just too much, too emotional, too dramatic, too passionate. And let me tell you, 20 years of listening to that bollocks will make anyone believe it. And the moment I was diagnosed and made all of the necessary changes, cut out toxic parents, cut out toxic friendships, left toxic workplaces, I could breathe and I could see myself. The only people that can sustain blind belief, if anyone, is going to be us, all right? We are so resilient. I'm also a Taurus sun, so that stubbornness with resilience, this is easy for me. We are filled with creativity, passion, and for most of us, we would have been pushed to a point. There is nothing else now. This has to work. For me, I want autonomy. I want independence. I want to own my own time. I don't want my brain to fight for its life anymore. Having blind belief is not because certain people are brave enough to have it or more disciplined. It's because the alternative is so fucking dangerous and empty that it is not an option. Let's go back to the reasons why you can't. Because there's always a reason why that your brain will catastrophize on and be like, oh, well, there's no point, is there? If it's not the physical things that you don't have, or convincing yourself that it's a bit too cloudy today, I'll try again tomorrow, and then tomorrow just actually never comes. It's my brain throwing creative blocks, error 404s, becoming the executive of dysfunction. I have learned with our brains that we can do 6 months of work in an afternoon, and then we'll want to disappear for a week. And that's just how it works. I used to fight that, but now I just go with it because fighting it uses so much more energy. All of the brain blockages are not evidence that it ain't working. It's probably just Tuesday. I live basically in what feels like a cupboard where I can only shoot in 2 places in this gaff. Here or in front of the window at my desktop on a good day if there's light, which is rapidly decreasing right now. Thank you, cloud. But the sort of ideas that my brain comes up with and wants me to execute, cinematic landscapes of me doing roly-polies and shit. Girl, it feels so frustrating at times and claustrophobic to not execute it all in the way that you have in your head, to not meet your potential. hate that word, but that perfectionist trait runs rife in us. But the answer, that is always true, and that is something is better than nothing always. I have to adapt my ideas, and they don't always come out in the way that I wanted or hoped, but that's okay, because I'm still doing it, and I'm still creating, and I'm still putting my work out there. Despite all of these blockages, you've proven to yourself that you can do it. You can only gain skills that you wouldn't have gained without going through that, because you had to deal with it being a bit shit for a while. Something else that people, well, I don't really hear people talking about is money. I am asked all the time to do things like stickers and merch for the Rave babes. There's loads of things that I have in my head that I would just love to bring to life. I'd love to have a little shop. And you know what? The irony is all of that could be a little stepping stone or foundation to land on during that leap of faith to keep you going. But who's gonna tell you that in order to get there, to make a little bit of money, you have to have money first? So, we are back to blind belief until something works. Now let's just talk about other people's dreams. The thing about passion is you can't borrow it and you can't manufacture it. That's why people don't understand why you love that track so much, or they don't understand why you're doing that job or you spent so much time on that thing. They can't feel it. And for neurodivergent people, we feel this times 1,000. And that's why we can't force ourselves to give a shit about your business. Because that's the thing in society. I'd love to ask a neurotypical, by the way, like, how do you pretend you're asked to care about things that mean nothing to us? And to other people, us not being able to do that makes us lazy, not focused, unreliable, when actually our brains are just wired up to give everything on the things that light us up, and there is nothing left for things that don't. Maybe I used all of my shits up in my first 20 years on planet Earth, which is why I'm in this situation now. But here we are, blind belief, baby. This is what makes being freelance, a creator, a DJ, a consultant, I don't know what building your own thing, building your own work, both the hardest and only logical choice. At least when it's yours, it's real, and only you can have that level of belief in your own goals. No one else will. No one else gets it or understands it, and that's not meant to be a sad realization or a warning. This is literally the point. I don't think there is a tidy ending for this one, Neurodivas. I ain't landed. And I'm not on the other side. I don't have any independence as of yet, but I do have a shitload of self-belief. And I hope that that's rubbed off on you. And I hope that you start that thing that you've always wanted to start, because I'm still here, still trying, still showing up as the person I am becoming before I am fully her yet, if that makes sense. So if I can do this, you can as well. And if you're already doing it, then I'm here with you. And I see you. Come back next week for episode 8. How consistent am I being, by the way, with the old YouTubes? I love it over here because I can speak with context. Do you know what I mean? We've got a lot to say with ADHD, and I can say it all on this sofa. Oh, let's get this on the go. See you next week, David.